gonna try to get started. So. You need to read.
Yeah, I have the script.
Yeah.
So for the newcomers, we have to read this little script really quick, and then we'll get into the rest of the meeting and do introduction and stuff. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this hybrid meeting format. Just a quick note before we begin, for members of the public who are joining the meeting via computer, device, or phone, please be advised that your microphone, webcam, and phone are automatically muted when you enter the meeting as an attendee. If you wish to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting and haven't already done so, please raise your virtual hand now to join the speakers queue. We will lower your hands as speakers are called upon. When the public comment begins, we will announce your name and unmute your microphone. You'll have 2 minutes to speak, after which your microphone will again be muted. Regarding the chat and Q&A functionality of Zoom, please note that attendees do not use these features. Lastly, in accordance with the passage of HB 4212, this meeting will be recorded and posted to the Sustainability Commission website. And if you weren't able to give testimony today, please contact the Sustainability Commission and you can get it to us in a different format. And with that, I turn the meeting over to Chair Devin. Chairman.
So, yeah, you can call me Chair Devin. Welcome new people, welcome Tom and welcome John, which is great, but new people, okay, not Chair Devin, other people. This is kind of my first big time as chair in running the retreat, and so it's kind of exciting and somewhat that'll be nerve-wracking for you as well, so bear with me. The first thing we wanted to start out with on the agenda is something that some of us know and some of us don't. So we normally start the meeting after the script with a land acknowledgement, and Jan was pretty amazing last year as chair. We sort of started this whole new thing where instead of well, and Laura too, but like instead of just making a statement, which is a little bit, I don't know, it's not, I'm not going to say it's empty, but we really wanted like, what is happening in Eugene that could revolve around like something we could do, something we could share with someone doing, like something that they could go to. So it became more of like a rotating situation among commissioners who take turns each month and go online and find, there's some resources that can be shared, but find an event or something that's happening. Like last year, for example, one of the things was a recurring sort of Native American market at the farmers market pavilion. And so that was kind of put on everyone's radar, and it was in the agenda with like clickable links. So it was something that if you left the meeting, you could always refer back to the agenda and find that information and go see what, share it or go see whatever it was. So there's like things at museums, there's all different kinds of things you can do. And it doesn't have to be necessarily even in Eugene, it could be locally, slightly Blaine County or whatever, you know. So we don't, because we don't have something for tonight, but what I would ask is that if we could get some initial volunteers for maybe like, I don't know, the next 4 meetings. Maybe start there. We don't have to go any further than that, I think, but so that being said, it's your turn to raise your hand. John would like one, so October. Are you good for October?
Sure.
And the administrative requirement is just get me whatever your thing is. I need it like a week and a half before the meeting so that I can include it in the meeting packet.
Yeah. Does anyone want to do?
I'm actually not volunteering until I might, but I wanted to, I actually was thinking of you all, and I found those really nice Oregon Indian country photos. So there's a lot of stuff about Oregon locations all throughout the state, which maps and all kinds of stuff, which many of them are more like 40 summer, but still fall. So I would pass those around this week.
Thanks, Jan. Anyone for December?
There's no meeting.
There's no meeting, like, okay, so that would be, maybe if you want, do we want to just go to January and call it good? You'd like to do January, all right, let's say that for November. Laura. And then Dennis. That's far enough out, we'll start not remembering. What to do, so, oh, thank you. Actually, sorry, see, there's only four. I'm gonna pass it. All right, well, thank you, guys. So the next thing is an action item, which we need to review and approve the agenda for tonight. And it does say June meeting minutes, but they were not in the packet, which is fine. We'll just go over them in October and we'll vote then. So all we'd be doing tonight is just making motion and then voting to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. So move. All in favor? Hey. Thank you. I'm assuming Dennis voted for in favor. Okay. All right. Sorry, so the next thing is public comment and commissioner response. Public comment? No one's here? One there. All right, moving right along. Does anyone want to respond to there being nobody here? Feeling your passion about that. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it back over to Danielle. Staff Danielle. to go over the introduction and icebreaker.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce Rich Hoey. He's our new public works director and started not too long ago, so I'll turn over to you. Anything?
Thanks, Danielle. I appreciate the chance to come spend a little bit of time with you tonight. And thank you for the dinner. It was delicious. So again, my name is Rich Hoy and I am new to the city organization. I'm also new to the community. I'm just under 2 months now on the job. And so I come to you from Olympia, Washington. So I worked for almost 20 years for the city of Olympia. 11 or 12 of those years, I was the public works director there. So I have experience in the role in another community. And also the last couple of years, I served as assistant city manager, worked on climate issues and a number of other things that I know are part of your purview work. In Olympia, we I consider Olympia to be very similarly minded to Eugene, a progressive community committed to sustainability, trying to advance similar things. So, we were doing a lot of work around climate, a lot of work around active transportation, moving towards, zero waste future. We managed our own solid waste collections in the city. We had our own utility. So I had some experience and background with solid waste. And even more experience with water resources. So my background before I went to City of Olympia was in drinking water and water resources. So my first role in Olympia was serving as the water resources director. So I have quite a bit of that there. And I know I just see on some of the things that you're thinking about, there are just many issues that I've worked on related to those things, just in a different community. So I'm really excited to be here. The staff has just been incredible. I really enjoyed so far meeting people and learning about the community. So I'm really very much in a learning. So as I get to know the community and get to know the plans and issues and policies and things that are happening here. So I really appreciate the chance to come tonight and say hello. I also just want to thank you for your service to the community. My experience in Olympia, we've had many community advisory groups like this. There's really a strong ethic in our community there. In fact, before I joined the City of Olympia team, I served as a member of the city's bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee, just as a community member. So I served on a body like this that was working on how to make our community there, more bicycle and pedestrian friendly, and made a lot of progress over the years. So it's one of the things that drew me to come here is just how committed this community is to that and the progress that you're making. And also just reading through the the CAP 2.0, the climate plan here is really impressive piece of work. And the commitment that you have also to embedding equity throughout that plan was really an important draw for me in terms of the reflection of these values. So I'm excited to be here. I'm living in South Eugene, and I love being able to ride my bike to work down the Amazon Creek Trail. Under a little bit of construction right now, so you gotta kind of skirt around a little bit, but also down the new protected bikeway on High Street. So just seeing those kinds of improvements made in the community is really cool. I'll be working with Danielle, with Ian to figure out how we as staff can support your work and help elevate your work. And so I'm excited to see what comes out of your retreat tonight, in terms of the work plan and how we can provide the best staff support that we can to you. So I just really appreciate the chance to say hello, and I look forward to going on the table. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you again and have you here. Well done. Getting into the nice weather. So this is my name's Mitra Gruwell, for those of you who don't know me. I thought I'm the vice chair of Mitra.
Yes, Vice Chair Mitra.
And I thought it'd be really nice to kind of hear, as we have these conversations before and after and off duty, from our commission work, we learn things about each other that I think is really interesting and, pertinent to the work that we do here together. So I thought we'd give each other a chance to kind of introduce ourselves, because we have some new folks here, and talk about, why you have chosen to serve on this, mission. And just kind of the work that you feel is pertinent to the work we do here that you want to share with us, your private life, your job, whatever that might be. So let's start. Let's start with you.
Okay, Dennis Reynolds, I'm a mostly retired Unitarian Universalist minister. Had a late night career, and before that I worked at the university here for 32 years in student services childcare program. And so I've always had a future outlook looking beyond that. In that career and in my late in my career in ministry, I got involved in climate activism as part of my role in an activist community. That's what our faith tradition tries to actualize. And sustainability in particular echoed for me is the last years when I was at the university, we built the Moss Creek Children's Center. Very likely the greenest childcare building in the state of Oregon, when the university was a leader on sustainability issues. And I learned what we can do that makes a difference in the future. And then my commitment deepened when my first grandchild was born, to that long-term future. What kind of world will they live in? And as some of you know, one of them lives in South Africa most of the time, and the other one lives in London. So my perspective is global. I do okay on policy wonk stuff. I was a university bureaucrat for 22 years, and I served on the state of Oregon Child Care Commission. So the idea of being on a commission was a place where I thought I could offer some knowledge and expertise and background on how to make it work. Government bureaucracies, which move at the rate of bureaucracy.
I'm John Fisher, and I'm a new member. I was a builder a long time ago, and I was a meteorologist for about 30 years, watching the climate literally change over 30 years. Kind of woke me up to what's going on. And so I've done a lot of lay education, climate masters and sustainable citizen and all the different classes and master gardening and that sort of stuff. And then I write and I do some radio stuff, but I just thought, hey, I'm hoping to learn things. I've already got 2 ideas broadcasts here, and if I can contribute, that'd be great. Here.
Well, I'm Alexi Miller. Last year I joined the commission, so we're a year now. I, in my day job, I work as a leader group around emerging technology type stuff for a nonprofit called the Eugene Institute, which is broadly a building decarbonization organization. So that's where I spend my 40 hours a week-ish. And also a lot of my framing here, because I want to make that spend the rest of my life useful here and local. Especially, I have 2 young children. I really like riding down the river bike path with them on the way to school. Go by. It's just such a resource to have a bicycle path on our really natural flowing river. Eagles sometimes, gansers, birds. Try to get the turkeys to gobble back. It's just really cool. And I want to preserve that really small scale access to nature and the big picture, you know, also. So, yeah, I think, I'm especially interested in things like building the population. And tree, that's right. I'm looking at this engineering technical space.
And then the sample of Vincent Township, grade 1, which it's my 7th year on the commission, I'm going through in council. So it'll be my 3rd to last meeting. I miss everybody so much. I was in the 10th grade in the first grade. So I have a day like this for a while. And then I was studying natural resources management. All that time. So I came to Oregon to study forest ecology and I never did all that grad school. So, but I went through except for getting this finally, which was on defense against phytophthora tree communication as a defense against phytophthora insects. And I did actually have those timber experience, see a trend, yes, that had things go wrong, like electricity went off for 2 days in my timbers, and measured it by grinding up the needles of trees that have been damaged on the last one, did actually insects. And was jealous of having the and I sneezed all over my children, so I didn't know whether they died from the trees or from the bleach that. So I moved to Eugene for my husband to go to law school. I went sideways into SEC and got a degree in graphic design. And then graphic design business for 18 years. For this kind of things has been the last training pastry chef for the village of right before and so all walks down Broadway. Cool. And I can do this one. I'm city councilor. Whoa. So anyway, that's yeah, I lived in Eugene for 40 years. I think for the changing. Really wanted to do things to make that connection. This was
Hello, everyone. I'm your staff liaison. So this is one part of my role as climate policy analyst for the city of Eugene. I've been serving in that role for about 1.5 years. Before that, I worked in parks. And before that, I did a lot of stuff related to sustainable food, farming and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm happy to get to know you all more, the new folks and the rest who I already know you. I'm excited to see what this commission can do this year. I think some of the strengths I bring are, building relationships, developing programs, communication, and, I think if I wasn't in this role as like policy analyst stuff, I'd be like an organic farmer. Because that's been on that question.
All right. As you know, I am Chair Devon, I'm a Devon man. And I was born in Sacred Heart Hospital and I went to South Eugene High School and I went to U of O. And I've been a scientist my whole life. I don't remember never ever thinking not in a scientific way. I'm digging Dennis's t-shirt. He has. Figuring things out is a little bit better. But also I've always looked at things, it may drive you guys crazy, but I'm very much an evidence-based sort of logical thinker. And I tend to get really into that sometimes, and forget that there are human beings in this room. So I got my degree in biology, from U of O and went to grad school in North Carolina and got another degree in biology. And my favorite thing is intertidal organisms. So I was in, my concentration was marine and vertebrate biology. And then from then I realized there's like no actual jobs doing that. And so like liking sea urchins is not a career. So I actually met my husband and we got married in Oregon and then moved to Chicago, where I worked at University of Chicago for many years in a zebrafish lab, ironically enough, run by the guy that I used to put his mail in his mailbox at U of O when I worked in the biology department office. And then here he was, like, I didn't know that until I met him in an interview. So I worked on vertebrate, something totally different than anything I ever did, which was vertebrate early brain development. Pick it up. That's really interesting. And then I got really sick of working in a lab and dealing with postdocs, and there are very special needs that they have. Like, could you plug this in for me, for example? And so I started teaching community college, and that's when I learned that I was supposed to be a teacher, a science teacher. So I taught biology in community college for years. This is all in Illinois. I designed and made Montessori middle school biology curriculum and did that for about 4 years. I taught private school, high school AP biology. I taught an ecology course at U of O, and I'm going to be teaching a course at OSU in the winter in non-majors marine ecology. Like, I'm like, why would a non-major take a 300 level marine ecology course? I have no idea, but it's gonna be fun.
Because it's cool.
Because it's cool. I mean, I think it's cool, but not everybody thinks it's cool. I get to talk about sea urchins. See, it's like come all the way back around after, I don't know, I think I was away from Oregon for 27 years. Came back in 2020. So it was just the right time between middle school and high school for our daughter. And that's when I just started, like, I didn't have a job because it was pandemic. And I wasn't really interested in looking for a job during the pandemic. So I started volunteering, like, with reckless abandon. So I volunteer at 3 main places. So I do this. I was the chair for 4 years of Southeast Neighbors Neighborhood Association, which I just stepped down from. And I also am a volunteer educator at Hatfield Marine Science Center, which if you have kids, sign them up for the summer camp. It's really, really, really fun and cool and not expensive. It's a week, it's day camp. So look into that for next summer. It fills up really quick. So then through my connections to Southeast Neighbors, I met Matt Keating, who's a fellow counselor, Counselor Simple. And he suggested that he needed to appoint someone for the commission, and he's like, why don't you do it? You started an environmental stewardship committee for Southeast Neighbors. And I said, sign me up. And then all of a sudden I'm chair. But that's okay. I've got time. So this is just building on my love of science and my love of biology and the living world. Trees are really important to me too. I always invite again. I can't wait to love trees. But she likes trees. Alexi likes trees. I mean, everybody. But that's where I came into this, why I care about the environment, because I mean, I have to.
I already said my name, being Shrug Burwell. I was raised in the mountains of Colorado and by a primitive survivalist, and just really the mountains and nature was my playground and my home. Was familiar. Jump ahead. I've been in Eugene now for 20 years. I have four adult grandchildren and a grandma. I am an upcycled fashion designer. That's what most people know me as. So I come here with a very artistic standpoint. I love to brainstorm and get really creative about things, which is why I'm passionate about being present to this type of work, because we do need some creative minds. I'm here as a result of a challenge from our old ED I'm no longer a board member of the Arts and Business Alliance of Eugene, but I was for 12 years, and our ED challenged us to have an artist at every table in terms of the commission. So I signed up for this one. It's very much aligned with all the work I do. All of my 5 jobs are related to the cross section of sustainability and art. So I work at Mecca as a community engagement coordinator. I produce fix-it fairs for the city and the county. I run a nonprofit teaching industrial sewing with a heavy emphasis on upcycling. And I work for Viking Sewing, doing repairs, leather worker and sewist, and as well as a designer. And have my own for-profit business, which is business number 10 for me, where I teach upcycled fashion to you and do custom work for like Ballet Fantastique and whoever. Well, but yeah, I am very passionate about this work. It's not something I had formal education in, but just over my experiences of my lifetime, developed a passion for, and really love that I can apply my creativity to come up with solutions and ideas and really engage people around behavior change and understanding things more.
I'm Laura Allen. This is my second term, so I need to this commissioner. And I'm being here with all of you. I grew up in the Green Hills. I've been living health for most of my life in different places that I area and Los Angeles for years, and then I've been working with the background in environmental education, water needs. And I've been an elementary school teacher, but at the community college and other positions for parents no longer in distance. And I actually work with nonprofit like to people to be discovered, but that kind of thing. I would want to have some change about that. And was to change it for all states and yeah, really interested in any solutions to work in the situation. Like to be engaged in the community. I'm also organizing a World Toilet Day event, so I'm just letting you this down. Anyways, with sanitation, it would be really fun, and I'll tell you what it's really fun. But if you, it's like super early stages, so like sanitation and World Toilet Day. When is World November 19th? So yeah, we got it.
Hi, I'm Jan Johnson, and I am I've lived in Eugene about 50 years now, almost. And that was my money. When I came from Chicago, and I came out to finish school at the University of Oregon. And he was servicing for the years. And I did actually, was thinking I don't have any environment, but I did have one term that Colorado, Colorado Springs, really followed the class. So I came here from school and I want to say welcome to Rich and congratulations. I spent my entire career pretty much at the city. I worked there for 36 years, retired a few years ago. Did a number of jobs throughout the city, ending up in the city manager's office as the community relations director for like the last 15 years. So, and I love the community, I love the city, I love the city organization very much. And so my job in those times was really to help present the city in the best possible way to make connections with community, get, communicate back and forth. And so I, I've known a lot of folks, things have changed somewhat in a few years since I've retired, but I think there are things that I still have that I can contribute in that way. And I was in the city manager's office when the sustainable business initiative got started, the whole sort of first stages of this all through quite a bit of this, and so it was involved in communications about it at the time. And our, we got to the cap. I just think, I care about Eugene being a very forward looking and acting city and living up to that identity. So after I retired, I did get more involved in volunteering driving buses. I am active volunteer with Eugene, and it's interesting how you get involved in our things there. And so do that, but there's other reasons.
Hello, my name's Tom Kreider and I'm one of the newbies. And I have a degree in environmental biology from the University of Colorado, which Boulder and Eugene are very similar. So it's great being here. I was an educator for probably about 35 years and I taught science. I taught chemistry and physics and biology and molecular biology. And then I switched for the last 16 years of my term as an educator. I was the associate principal at high school in China. But anyway, and my wife is originally from Oregon. And I had taught the Kaiser system at one point when we decided to move to Oregon 5 years ago. And it was a great move. I love it. And, you talk about biking along the river. And I was lucky enough, I'm not right on the river, but I have a townhouse which is close to the river and I used to bike up there. And I'm a real bicyclist, and I've done triple bypass in Colorado and go over 100 miles over 3 mountain passes, and I rode the eastern of Greater Lake last week, but it didn't go so well because 2 of my shifting cables broke, and so we walked uphill and then coasted down. So that was pretty interesting. But I'm really happy to be in Eugene. I met Emily through Karen, who I think I may be sitting in your seat. Because we were in a group called CRUP, which is Citizens for the Responsible Use of Plastics. And it was really a great group, but we kind of fell to the side after a couple of years. And I'm also a CASA in that I have 2 foster kids that I look after and also have to advocate for in the court system, and that's certainly enjoyable as well, and sometimes frustrating. But I'm just happy to be here, and I think this is a great place to be.
I'll just say how cool it is to just hear all of your stories and motivations for joining the commission. Just a couple more quick things about me. I did share. I grew up in Massachusetts, so I'm from the East Coast originally. I graduated from college. The career counselor said, "Don't be afraid to go west to the Mississippi to find work," because there were no for jobs then. And so I bought a 1973 VW bus off my buddies, and I went west. And so it's been fun to actually see some still on the road here in Eugene. So, and also early in my career, I did a stint in Peace Corps as well. So it was a neat experience to be able to serve overseas. So, good. Yeah, it's nice to be there.
People have come.
Yeah, right.
You got 10 more minutes. You got 10 minutes, Ian.
I'm staff Ian. I'm Ian Penn, Sustainability Manager for the city. I've been with the city about 2 years, just over 2 years. Just over these. I think in terms of why I do this, I don't know what else I would do. Actually, the one thing I would do is if I had the means, I would be professional speaker. Like, but I've been doing that, I went to college for pre-med, organic chemistry, had to undergrad, and so I decided to do environmental work and I've done that actually in my entire career since then. And really, not sure what else I would do. And I think for me, one of the really important moments for me is I've done a lot of various things in my life. And one of the things I did is I worked for a White House advisory council during the administration. That was called the President's Council on Sustainable Development. It was really my first introduction to sustainability. It was like a slap in the head. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. How do I do this better? And so everything I've done since then is kind of informed by that experience. When all I'm done, I've done a bunch of effective things, but I think one thing is it's interesting to hear so many people with water backgrounds. My first job out of college was actually for water consultants. I grew up in Illinois. I'm from Chicago. I lived most of my adult life in the Mid-Atlantic, so lived mostly in Virginia and Charlottesville. A little bit of time in DC and a little bit of time in Durham. So I'm in the East Coast area, so we got here a couple years ago for this job. My first job out of college, I actually worked on a project that I believe was in the housing development that Devin did in Northern Illinois, focused on reintroducing native Illinois fish species to the water bodies in that particular housing development. It's way, I won't say come up, but many different projects like that. And so I've done environmental things most of my entire life and situation of that. And continue to learn about the team. And we work here, and I think I have a lot of rich perspective on this, which is it's been really fascinating to sort of come to this community and see the passion, see the interest, see the engagement, and try to, from a city perspective, be part of sort of that process.
So what year did you do that? Come on, because I moved there in 2003,
That was well before
Oh.
96.
but they still come and check the fish stock every year at the little lake where we live.
I mean, I remember when I was in cornfield, that's how old that
Well, it was a corn, I mean, yes,
was.
I remember being a kid and it was a corn for sure. Even though I'm not from Chicago, everyone else in my family is from Chicago.
So yeah, no, this was like, there was nothing there,
Yeah.
so we did some
Yeah.
like purple leaf every hill and cattails, and then we did, that was really cool because my boss for that company had moved to PA, had been following how the background, and was really passionate about this project, and it was just really cool to like not put like stripers and other things like
Right.
that, to do like native fish into this conservation community, like it truly is, there are other conservation communities that are part of it. This was one that tried to like do real things on the ground, it's like this, I mean, it was just really interesting part of the.
Yeah, and just a quick aside, the place where it was an environmentally focused design community. It was really amazing. So like we had they started with nothing. It was fields and they repurposed it all. We had 10 miles of trails and we had, God, I don't remember how many acres of open
the words are, I'm losing my words, but like, it was all prairie, like replanted native prairie in all the open spaces, and we had lots of open spaces, lots of playgrounds, and then they built a K-8 environmental charter public school. My daughter went, I lived there 17 years, and we would burn our yard every year, front and back. And you had to go to burn school and learn how to do it, and you have to have, everybody's there with the hose, so we don't set everyone else on fire. But it was really common in our neighborhood, 350 homes, and it was like, time to burn, and you just see smoke and everyone's burning, and it was really cool. It was a pretty amazing, special place to live for a while. Definitely in Illinois, you felt like, we had an organic farm, so I would just walk there to get my share, and they had like honor box eggs that all the kids would go and collect the eggs for the chickens, and you put like $2 in the box, whatever. It was dreamy, but
There was another community that was kind of part that was tried to do that, but wasn't.
no, there's really nothing quite like it. It was pretty incredible, but and that also is part of the reason why I'm interested in politics. It's all ties together, but no, that's great. I love hearing from everyone, and something that Mitra and I have been talking a lot about, I think that relates sort of to this icebreaker, is giving commissioners more time to talk to each other. In a way that's meaningful and where we can get to know each other a little bit better and be able to maybe have better discussions because of it. And I know we didn't put this on the agenda, but I'm gonna sneak it in right now, which is one thing that's gonna be different this year after talking with Mitra, and like our sort of desire to have every meeting have more discussion time built in to the meeting. And also we're talking with staff about the time it takes to organize the presentations for a meeting. So we're going from 2 presentations to 1 per meeting. And I think that's gonna be great, honestly, because I think it's gonna give us more time to process. And we're gonna have time then to discuss things in real time rather than just sit and try to frantically, like, I've got a question, and that, like, what are my questions gonna be? Like, in this sort of, I must decide what's happening right now, and instead we'll incorporate some more time for us to talk about whatever we just saw together. And I'm hoping that will just sort of loosen things up maybe a little bit, make your life a little easier for scheduling and planning, and sort of reduce that amount of content we're supposed to absorb in 1 meeting. So I have hopes for this change. I think you guys appreciate that, and feedback, give feedback, right? I think, let us know what you guys think, those of you that have been here before, and new people too. I just want to kind of sneak that right in there. I'm gonna segue then into the goals, roles, and guardrails. She writes, just saying, that's all her magic. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more, and then I'm gonna be quiet for a while, I think. So Tom and John kind of just heard this sort of same talk from me as I zoomed into your orientation and zoomed right out again. So forgive me for being a little redundant there, but I kind of wanted to touch on things that we also talked about in the last mayor meeting a little bit about this commission, and just touch on a little bit about what I feel like Jan and I were discovering last year, or I didn't know because I'm fairly new, was this commission kind of had a reputation sort of for doing too much, and it might be unfocused, and producing a lot of opinions and ideas in maybe letter form, and sending them off to council where they weren't always read. They were often read. This is not a diss on the council by any means, but it was right. There's some scanning, but it was just a lot of content, and it was often, as I've come to understand, it was often not related at all to what council had before them on their agenda and their work plan, which is very important, because you don't have a lot of time for things that are not on your work plan as it is. And so I wasn't here, but this commission was sort of pushing out a lot of like, we think you should do this and we think you should do that in the past. And it was proving to be not very effective. As far as actionable items, like we were not being heard, and then I believe it sort of turned into also like boy who cried wolf, like we were just too much. So it just became not a priority. So what I feel like I've been as vice chair and now chair working on with you as well is like, how do we increase our relevancy? How do we be a more effective commission? And one of the big things is, the goals are up on the board if you can read them, that's my writing, I apologize. It's kind of small, but to increase our effectiveness, we're working really hard to be in alignment with the sustainability issues or topics that are coming up before council as they're coming up before council. So that way we're not just like making up something that we think is important, but yet they have no time to look at what we're talking about or any information about it whatsoever. But like, what's great too is now we have Danielle and we have Ian, which Danielle and I started right about the same time, and you started just precious little before me. Is to create this work plan, these presentation topics that we'll get to later, that are actually much more in line with what's coming for staff, what staff's working on, and what's coming before council. And so then we're more in like real time working on things that they may need information and advice from us about. And I'm really hoping that sort of path is the way that we can be heard. We can increase the effectiveness of our advice and our voices. As the experts that we all are on all our different topics, I think we have a lot to offer. So let's see, I touched on, yeah, so it makes the purpose of our work, I guess, more actionable than just saying what we think about something. We're actually, stepping back, looking to see what's happening, and then speaking to those things when someone is looking for somebody to speak about it, rather than inventing a schedule of our own. Does that make sense? But I just wanted to sort of throw that out there as a way of framing what we're going to do with the work plan for 2025. And why we're choosing from these and why we're choosing topics for committees as well. It doesn't always have to align perfectly. There's room for emerging topics. There's room for things that seem important to us for Eugene that maybe we want to learn more about and be more educated commissioners. But as far as actionable items, I think the alignment piece is going to be crucial and very important for us to get anything done. I just wanted to share that with everyone. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, I mean, we're ahead of schedule, so be my guest, but we've got a few minutes.
I would just like to say, I agree, absolutely, and I do think it's the direction you started working in last year, and as long as we don't get rigid about it. And I think the things that you said, and sort of, address that, because we don't always know what's going to come up. And we also have things that, however they come up, they can come up. But we have people who bring things to us and say, hey, we should be doing this, well, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't, but I think we just have to.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, for sure. Lauren?
Yeah, I think at least from the time I've been on it, the commission has always been focused on the cap and always been in alignment. So I mean, there's like hearsay and there's people's opinions and there's all of that, but I feel like that's how we've been going, and we're just getting better at it because we have to, in those like staff, like I feel like we've been doing that on the trajectory now that we have studying for staff and
It makes a huge difference, absolutely. And a lot of it was just feedback.
it's like we're doing it. And again, into the view that just things come up and community groups come to us, and that is part of our goal is to do that.
Right. And that's what number 3 kind of states there, to make sure we're educating, but also collecting
One, I just created 2 quick slides just because I kind of wanted to, go over viral a little bit, just to make sure it's clear, I know, bye, Rich.
Bye, thank you.
All right,
Nice to meet you all.
Greg,
I'm not going to go into this in too much detail because we can't read it. You can't read it. I can't even, that's as bad as it's gonna be, or good as it's gonna be. Well, I'll email it to you.
We can't get any more.
Basically, I mean, the main point I want to make is I'm staff liaison. This commission can take up a lot of my time, but I really don't have that much time to give it. So, feel free to, like, I will give it what I can, and sometimes I will just say no. And, I have, the whole other job that I do, which you'll learn more about throughout the year, but, my main job to this commission is doing administrative support, setting the agendas, doing minutes, like posting the minutes, helping get your message to council, that kind of stuff. And
Joining meetings, joining all the meetings, I mean, that meeting,
yeah, just like making sure all the meetings can happen and stuff, so. That's about it, share, I can just read the bio, this is also the bio. Yeah, and then the next slide is, just basically, I was kind of thinking of a good way to frame what the goal of the commission is, and by focus, it means like having a focused work plan, focusing on topics that are relevant and like currently being worked on by the city or by council. And when emerging topics come up, like discerning if those have relevancy or are worth addressing. With Learn, I think your job as a commissioner, before you play the advisor role, is to learn, what, ask questions to staff when presentations come, learn what public opinions and perspectives are on that issue, seek out perspectives that are missing. I think when you come as a commissioner here, you're not just wearing your hat and your opinions, but you represent the community. So bringing that sort of lens as well. And then the last, role is advise. So, providing input to staff, sharing feedback with staff, sharing information with council, and when possible, when people make recommendations. So that's about it.
Does anyone have any questions about Danielle's role or?
And I'm the deputy liaison.
You get to wear a badge. All right, we're moving right along here. So the next piece is really kind of more paperwork sort of things. I know, I'm hoping that everyone has read through the annual report. I'm not gonna go through it today in here. That'll be a lot of time. But if anyone have any edits things they wanted to add to the annual report, I know Tom and John, this really isn't, you weren't here, so you can, I don't know, stare into the middle distance if you'd like. But please read the annual report because you get an idea of what we did. But we always want to be sure that we didn't leave something out that someone would like in. Or if we misrepresented something, so. Just take a look, you don't have to go through the whole thing right now. But if there's anything somebody has noticed or not,
I thought it was great. I had one place where I said, oh. That's sounded as much of that, everyone. This is under the home energy score. Sustainability Commission talked about opportunities. I would say more likely sort of expressed interest in opportunities.
I think that's the exact type of feedback we wanted, like, yeah, because in the italics part, after each topic, I tried to just capture like what was the gist of the discussion that was had. So if you remember it differently or something missing, like, please add, because I feel like that was only my, one perspective memory. So that's sort of where I agree, like it could be, well, you too also, but I mean, if there's, I think that's where it could be done, so. Well,
Do we have the council date?
no, and that's what's, like, there's a possibility the council meeting could happen before our next meeting. Which is not really ideal, but it means that we have to vote tonight or hold a special meeting to vote. So,
Be hard for me.
which was gonna be hard to schedule, so are we really leaning towards just voting tonight, but I don't wanna rush it, but, yeah, so. It doesn't sound like there's any major changes to work from.
Well, yeah, but that's almost all done. I mean, we just need to choose the committees and the topics tonight, and then we can vote on it, when we were discussing while we we're eating dinner. Not much is gonna change in that between now and the next meeting anyway. But it would be nice to have the annual report feedback, that's monthly as well. So. We could do some as amended. I think.
I mean, what you were talking about with the home energy support program. We did discuss barriers and opportunities to find ways to make that. Promising model, but we didn't necessarily generate anything out of it. We had a sort of a more wide-ranging discussion maybe, but I don't know that there's a thing you point to say, that's what we did about that.
No, I don't think that necessarily needs to be that though. I think that it could just be like, here were sort of the questions or the nature of the discussion that the commission had about it.
Some of this is for our education.
Yeah.
But the action is learned.
Or, and this is what council's gonna see, so if there's something about that topic that you wanna make sure council might learn, or, you know, that this is opportunity to do that too. Do you have the, you know? Oh, you can tell me, okay, so yeah.
Yeah, just, notion that we might want to, really look at things like that. That we felt were incomplete and how it would shape the work plan for next year. Like I look across the room of impact of residential building decarbonization. If we change the first word to enhance. When looking at energy storage and how they could be more effectively utilized would be part of continuing. That's the kind of thoughts I have. How do we look at, our report as a basis for what we did, what and now? It's quite detailed. So, it's a lot of information here, it's really good, and it's. You don't think you need to get too much to that, quantifying how much we do or what we saw something. As a counselor, I want to know what we discuss. Do you have an opinion that we will teach you? That's this one. If you look at it. Well, that's a fun. And, don't let us be the enemy of the, there's a lot to do. And I can just. Really check out of that.
I think one, possible attachment to this would be, Dennis had written a report that he sent to me a couple weeks ago that summarized like all of the engagement that the commission had done over the last year. I mean, I think we've been tabled at like 5 different events, plus presented at 2 neighborhood associations, and maybe me, you, and Devin could just kind of tighten up that report and have that be an attachment. It sort of summarizes like what was heard from the public, and I know the mayor and council counselors have expressed interest in like knowing what's happening through that outreach, so that would be a good.
Yeah, and Jan just sent some notes, about some of the conversation.
Oh, cool.
That's great, everybody.
We could flesh some of that out.
Yeah, and we have notes from the one that Alexi did, like, it was like the day after, I had you guys just like write what you heard, so if we could just kind of summarize that, it would be good.
Yeah.
Right, just put a notebook.
Okay. We get that.
Yeah.
If you want to meet too,
Or either young person or not.
I think we should do it electronically
Oh, yeah, just edit it electronically.
and see if we need a little time to polish.
Does that trigger another meeting?
well, it's kind of, I think we might be able to budget because it's, I didn't say that, but because it's in there. Like it lists out all the events and the dates that they were, so we might be able to just expand, or we could just say as amended.
I think it could be in touch. And for further details in the touch.
Yeah.
We do look at it on certain units, some of the stuff. And then, see attachment, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually really helpful because you can read through just of it. And then what they're going to do.
Unless there's a commissioner that has an issue with that.
I was gonna say, we can make a motion to approve this as is with the amendment.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, I make that motion to approve as this is written with the attachment. including the notes. Second.
Yeah, so we'll flesh out a little more.
Let's go. All in favor? Woo-hoo. Check. Great. Well, look, it's break time.
Good job, whoever did this summer.
It's hammered about it.
Yeah, I've been a little time on, like, I'm just gonna get this done early. Okay, so there's a break now, if you haven't read the work plan. Now is the time to read it. I think it would be good for you to know which topics you will be voting on shortly. So if you need a copy, I have extras.
And we're also like 10 minutes ahead, so let's not take a break till 7. Can we take a break till like quarter till?
Oh, yeah.
So we can have the fantasy of finishing
Does anybody-
potentially early.
Anybody need a draft work plan?
I do.
There are bathrooms in our little contained area. If you just go out and go this way, there's a bathroom right over there. And is there a drinking fountain? I don't think that's being water. There's
also a sink.
There is.
There's spots, well, it has a little. there's a
That's
spot.
what I thought. I thought there was.
Yeah. plus it's back.
Personally, I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
And I was also gonna offer, does anyone want to go on a field trip walk up to the Singer Room, which is where we'll be meeting from now on?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so a quick little PSA, for future meetings, we're gonna be meeting in the Singer Room, which is on the 3rd floor.
Yes, Bill.
Yes. Yes. We got kicked out of LCC with the City Hall, and there isn't a good meeting place over at City Hall for this commission, so we found an awesome room on the 3rd floor of the library. It's a beautiful room, and I could walk up with a few people if anyone wants to go check it out.
Is it difficult to get to?
No, it's pretty
I
easy.
mean, some
You
of
walk
the
up to the
doors
3rd
are
floor.
locked. It's not the one that's behind the left door.
It might be, it's locked door, but it won't be one.
Sometimes I don't. Use it. I don't get to that.
The second floor. Singer. Oh, we just walk upstairs. It's right there.
There's just one on the second.
So
floor. It's on the first floor.
So it's the second.
Singer floor, so it's second floor. Does anybody want to go? Okay, let's go, go check it out. And was everybody here?
Like 10 minutes, 10 till, or 8
minutes, okay, let's go.
yeah, not to poop on the parade of the sticker fund, but remember what you voted for. Because we're gonna say a few things, or we're both gonna have a few things to say. Yes, why don't you just start?
Well, okay, so these are topics that I researched and identified like far and wide across the city and with our partners about what is currently happening that relates to caption pointing. So it's like all these different things are currently in some level of progress. Either just like it's being thought about and talked about all the way to like a decision is being made about it. So that's sort of the framework. And then of these topics, I'm just gonna talk about these. For the newbies, back a little bit, we create this work plan. Within the work plan, there's sort of two parts to it. The first part is topics that will be brought to the commission during meetings as presentations from staff. And then there'll be time to ask questions, to have a discussion as the commission, if, you know, sort of share your input. And then the other part of the work plan is committees, and usually we've sort of found the sweet spot to be like 2 or 3 committees that the commission can sort of reasonably take on, and that's where more in-depth work happens. Maybe there's guest speakers, maybe there's research that the commission does, usually with like some type of outcome. So before you all vote, I'm super steeped in all of this like every day. And so I just wanted to put my thumb on the scale a little bit on certain projects that I think the commission can have more impact on. This is totally just my opinion, so you don't have to listen to it. But there's just a couple that I think could be particularly interesting based on like the stage that we're in. So the first one is feedback on new protected bikeways. That one, the city has recently put in a lot of new protected bikeways. They have more coming down the pipe based on a new bond that was recently passed. And they're sort of taking this pause right now to get feedback from the community. There's a survey that's coming out soon. They want to get the commission's input on like, how have they been going, the ones that have already been built. And so now is a really good time for the commission to weigh in on that. The second one is street tree bond projects and the urban forestry management plan. The commission plays a legal role in advising staff on which street tree projects to fund based on a bond. So that's sort of this legal obligation that the commission has to do in reviewing that list. The other part to that presentation would be the urban forestry management plan, which has been on hold for a long time, but now Parks is rewriting it. And this spring, they're gonna be looking for a bunch of engagement on it. They're also applying for a big grant. We recently found out, hopefully they get it, but so there's gonna be a lot of sort of new developments happening there. And I know there's been interest on, you know, from a few people on urban forestry, and there's just, it's sort of this exciting time where they're opening up that book and like changing some of the you know, the goals and rules in it. The third one is the Golden Gardens Park Master Plan. This topic came to the commission last year, sort of kind of got like put into the mix when because there's a current decision being made about whether to put artificial turf at the Golden Gardens Park. We know that there, as we heard last year, there's a lot of the activist community is super against that. So I think it will be really important for the commission to hear from Parks about why they're making this decision and, you know, potentially take a position if you disagree or agree with it, with that decision. So that's just one that I know there's a lot of community engagement and interest, and the city's just sort of up against this like hard decision, weighing recreational needs, economic needs, as well as environmental needs. So it's sort of a good topic for the commission to weigh in on and potentially,
I should say that there has been no decision made.
No.
So it's just, you know, Parks are working through this process to better understand all the trade-offs.
Okay, so they haven't taken a position.
Just want to make sure that.
that's why now's a good time for the commission to like weigh in. Yes,
And there's time to do so.
yeah.
So, not to disagree with you, but I was wondering, what in my mind, it seemed like the two bikeway things, there is a bike committee, right? If we're trying to take things off our list, that, in my mind, I thought, well, maybe there's somebody else who's providing that. I.
There is the active transportation committee, their board kind of like this one, I'm sure they'll probably be looking at this topic, so.
I mean, I think they're great and all that, but so I'm just like, I'm a little overwhelmed with how many, it feels like, you know, really choices. Hard choices. Like greenhouse gas inventory, don't we sort of have to really? Think about that? I mean, we don't have a commission. Cities do them.
Yeah. I mean, so of the 16 topics, I was gonna put my thumb on the scale on 6 of them. You guys don't have to listen to me.
No, I think it's helpful to discuss if people have, other, you know, other people have ideas and ways we can't try and so everybody just like, well,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
But the bike thing too, like, if some people, if, like, there could be a significant amount of efficient for use of bike lanes, and we may be part of that. I don't know. But it's a good point, because that might actually have to be.
Part of these, we're trying to focus on things that council is wanting to be active on. Of these all things like golden gardens, you can clear them off. Are there
Well-
other things? Council priority.
No, and that is not necessarily the goal. The goal is to not choose just things that council is acting on, because council is not acting on all these, but these are projects that staff are working on that you can help them focus. Or they're just things that are important to learn, like for the commission to understand.
It's a mix, but it's trying to make things relevant.
And I think before let me just get through, I have 3 more that I just wanted
Oh,
to,
sorry.
to do, and then let's keep, sorry. So, proposed changes to LTD transit system. So LTD just did this huge study, because with like, since COVID, they've seen this really big decline in ridership. So now they've done this big study and they're making a bunch of changes to their, transit system. I thought it would be really important for the commission to understand what the changes those will be. That is gonna be more informational. So there isn't as much, opportunity for feedback. Although maybe there is, I mean, you'll be able to ask questions to staff. You'll be able to, share your perspective and stuff. Another one is eWeb's future electricity supply. So eWeb is in the midst of renegotiating their contract with Bonneville Power Administration. Bonneville Power Administration provides 80% of Eugene's power and electricity power. And so they're renegotiating that contract and gonna be needing to make some really hard decisions around affordability, reliability, and clean power. And so it's a big decision. They're preparing to launch a big engagement plan with the community to better understand like what are their priorities. And so this is an opportunity, to weigh in before that good decision gets made.
To weigh in with web
eWeb, yes,
decision makers, you in the renegotiate.
as community member. We'll ask the commission. And then the last one was that I thought was interesting up here. Particularly interesting was local applications of geothermal energy. Let's see, mine and Ian, a lot of mine and Ian's work over the last year has been on building decarbonization and identifying, promising solutions that could help decarbonize our buildings in Eugene. And one of the strategies that has emerged is there an opportunity to build a geothermal energy network in Eugene, which is a really cool thing. It's when you harness geothermal energy from the Earth's surface and use it to power buildings. It's really clean, it's really reliable, and there's not a lot of it happening here yet, but there is some of it happening, and there's also not a huge understanding among the community or among city council around what geothermal energy is and how it can help us meet our climate goals. So this would be an opportunity to hear from some different community partners who are doing really interesting work on geothermal energy, just to sort of understand that a little bit better. So Yeah, and beyond that, I mean, I think all these projects, you know, any of these would be great for the commission to learn about, so those are just sort of.
Right. And I want to just look up the changes to land use plan, because I represented the commission for a chunk of time on the Envision Eugene Technical Advisory Committee that advised staff as they put together their reports on open growth boundaries and such, which has huge implications around density and sprawl and those variables. And the last 6 months, my work schedule changed and I wasn't able to continue. So I missed recent stuff, but have read the reports, and I think people would find it, you know, beneficial as we look at how the city roads shape so much sustainability. Transportation needs that.
Just to, I don't know if Danielle actually mentioned it, but all hers have a little green sticker in the right hand corner. In case you did remember what she was saying. There's a vote, there's a code there.
There you go.
You want to pay attention to the problem. I could put a yellow. sticker.
Yeah.
So,
Could I
And blue.
ask you a question? Do you think in one presentation, we could learn enough in any way how to meaningful impact on the land use plan?
I think it would be beneficial for the commission to have an input of what that process.
And they're in the midst of-
Planning commission really has decision-making authority about where that report goes.
Correct me on this, I think this will be a check-in because they're in the midst of what's gonna be like a 3 or 4 year process. It's really a very long time, right? That they're working through this process.
So it could, you know, it could be deferred till a later time, a little further into the process.
oh. Did you mention that in the information? So just a quick aside, I had to learn it the same way you guys are designing it tonight, but I joined. But we do, it's kind of a retreat, and we're kind of having a nice open conversation, which I really appreciate, but like, definitely during like a regular meeting, if you want to say something, we do this, and then you're called on in the order that you set it up on the end. That's sort of our way of doing things. Anyway. Jan?
Thank you, Chair Devin. I just wanted to share that, just in the last couple of days, we got some news that the Eugene Airport has received 2 sustainability grants for, developing a resilience hub and energy, it's a feasibility study. To look at developing resilient, the big solar array with battery storage and resilience. So that's exciting. And then another one that is
EV charging.
EV charging. So,
They're both planning grants, so they're state grants. And, Roosevelt Yard actually received a grant as well. And that's actually a implementation grant, so that was $1 million.
we can do that.
They're gonna do similar, microgrids to a solar plus storage system at Roosevelt Yard. Basically take the diesel battery system out.
Yeah, and if anyone has anything else to add, I mean, about any of the presentation topics, right now it's kind of a good time. Vice Chair Mitra.
I was just gonna say something about the large scale waste diversion topic. So I worked at St. Vincent Paul Society of Lane County for 7 years, and being someone who works in waste diversion through upcycling, I learned a lot about the big local players in how like large scale waste gets moved through our community, and it was extremely insightful. I was always curious about it. So I was gonna just pitch that topic would really be about trying to get some of the big players like St. Vinny's and Ring and Next Step, people who move our local discarded like electronics, steel, I mean metals, wood, just goods, large scale goods, and kind of how that works and what that looks like for us. So I found it really interesting, and I thought it'd be really interesting to put out there as a topic if you're interested in how that works around here. Yeah, I get a lot of questions about it. from the community members, so it's nice to have some insight into the answers.
So I do have a question about the greenhouse gas inventory. It does seem like that's a pretty baseline piece of information that we should know about if we're helping to track and count people. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, we do this greenhouse gas reporting every 2 years. It helps us, you know, understand where we're at, what our emissions are. So I don't know if it's like required that you guys look at it, but if you guys feel like that's important, then
That'd be staff.
okay.
Promise.
If we have homework, that's
It doesn't necessarily have to be a Q&A, you know, there can be some Q&A, but it doesn't have to be like a.
Right.
Okay,
So do you want to keep on with that then?
sure.
Figure out the name of those.
So we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, I think your point, I think what staff are planning to do is that would be part of an update that we would provide the council at some point in spring. As part of this, similar to what Daniel and I did this past spring. Because we're getting new numbers, yeah, that doesn't.
Was there one about the now newly branded iron? That was not up here. I know, but I thought it had been on the list throughout the summer. Is that when we voted off or?
I ever put that on the list.
Oh,
So timer,
well, it's called, yeah,
Formerly
formerly,
known as Ira.
what's it called? It's like floor.
It's terrible. I can't remember it. Yeah, but it's,
that's true, that could be.
I mean, I think it's,
I thought we talked about it.
it's a hot topic.
It is a really hot topic.
Yeah, so I mean,
that thing.
yeah.
Well, I could add that up. That's. I didn't think about that.
We'd end up with the same number.
We have too many.
Greenhouse gas are.
Well, why don't we vote? I think it's maybe time to vote.
I have
Have
a
discussion.
question before we
Okay,
vote on the essence.
John,
We vote.
and Alexi, and Nick,
Oh.
Dennis,
John.
John is.
Isn't a large scale waste.
Oh, yeah, that
I
would
mean,
be
St.
wrapped
Vinny's
together.
does a lot of stuff, that's great, but it's tiny.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part with these communications is like, it's hard to find one staff who can like present all of, you know, the things about what topic, so we could make that one instead be about island.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I really,
Instead of St. Vinny's and.
I mean, we could, or I don't know if it could be talked about by multiple parties, because Lane County Waste Management is the one that can manages all of that. Talk about all of this topics, so maybe that would be the right part.
Yeah, my question is if we've got a work plan goal, is expanding community engagement, educating, collect feedback. Do we need an education outreach committee? If one of our goals is to kind of continue what we're doing. Lots of hours you folks, mostly if one of you put together to have that presentation. Might we just continue to look for opportunities to take on the road that's already been developed? Rather than focus on this committee work. And tabling, you know, it's just really a scheduling issue rather than a committee, you know, research process. So my one is, do we need an education outreach committee? Rather than simply a team of folks who are willing to take it on the road.
Well, I was gonna talk about that a little bit, so
We're gonna do I appreciate that completely, but let's stick to the presentations. So that everything's.
well,
What the hell?
just to answer that question, quickly, we were talking about potentially feedback about how that is working in the current model and whether it could be improved by creating like an evergreen content or, so that conversation kind of had come up at the end of that committee last year, and we thought there was further, and we had also talked about like at one point, a survey, I mean, there's, it seems like it is a hugely important topic in
No, I
the city
agree.
council, but like there could be more. Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
So did we just agree to, in some way, combine large scale waste diversion with the IMER? So maybe there's like. Part of it is about the IMER, and part of it is about what
Since I was,
other entities do with waste flows and such. Is
I
that
was gonna put that together myself, so I think that would definitely.
Clarify what the focus of the IMER conversation would be, would just be an update from the county on where it is.
It's changed from the IMER name, I mean,
Yeah.
from what I understand, and that's part of why I'm curious is because. Like, in the work I do, like, I fixed it for the other day and. There's a huge like uproar, like all the callers have been voicing very loudly opinions to their clientele and. That people don't understand the context, there's just like so much, and those questions are coming to me and I don't know how to answer them, and like, I would love to be able to, as a sustainability commissioner and. Like, be able to have more answers or at least direct appropriate, you know, and explain to them why. You know, there's a lot of, like, the longevity of our current landfill, and there's so much, I just think.
So are you thinking, sorry, thanks, but, because I know it is a very hot topic.
Yeah.
Figure out like how we might structure something like this. If staff is, so it'd be much more like the county, what they're trying to do, more than like, you know, they're talking about their technology.
No, like, getting the
Correct,
county.
we had that.
Getting the county to come and just talk about generally how waste moves through our community, who does what, and how this IMER would change things or help or benefit, and just like laying out the situation.
So well, I'm confused now. Has the function of the IMER, not that it was, the name was changed, but was the function of it, was it really changed from what we were?
I'm actually not sure.
That's what.
There was a council presentation today about this,
Oh,
and it was, that part of the discussion went for almost an hour and a half. I would highly recommend you guys watch it if you're really interested, because they asked, I mean, it was a really good discussion, I'm not against putting it up here, if, you know, who wants to vote on it. So, should I do that? I kind of don't think it could be smushed together, like, I think it's such a big hot topic, I think it should be its own thing. Than large.
Well, I would, being the fact that it is such a hot topic, I would say we should probably replace the large scale. Personally, but I don't wanna. Steamroll that, but. Yeah, whatever, that, I don't know,
I think it's called like the clean brain.
Yeah.
Clean lane.
And this, but don't go.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian.
We lane for that. But it's not right.
Yes,
please.
I call it that from now on.
And put like Lane County. in front.
You know.
The clean lane could be about that.
All right.
Sorry.
No, this is why we do this. I mean, this is the whole thing. Did you want to talk about this? Can we, let's vote on the presentations and then.
So you want us to take our 8 stickers over here and then.
And wait.
And talk about it.
You want to do it now? All right. Okay.
Well, because I might. I think they're related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are on some level for sure. Okay, so
You're looking at-
there's a couple things before. We get into the committees and I'll try to be brief. So Laura brought forth a climate friendly landscaping committee, which I think is a great idea. Aside from the fact that, I think if you're gonna have, a limited amount of meetings, there needs to be a topic associated with it. And it's pretty general. You could cover all different kinds of things, which you listed and they're all good. Right, but that as a general committee, I'm not really clear, like what the focus is and what the goal is. You know what I mean? Because It's like real grass versus artificial turf, that's like its own committee. Phase out of gas powered equipment, that would kind of be its own committee.
Could I ask? Yeah, so some communities came to us last year that it would fall under this and. There's some side conversations, thinking about maybe a way, and people, and the commission also talked about like these. Addressing these specific issues like the gardens is like innovation over time, so why don't we take a step back? And create recommendations, like bigger picture recommendations around landscaping, and so that's what this would be, and so initially it would be. I imagine doing like a research at other communities, what have they done, which also, so existing programs out there. And then see what might fit for you. So initially it would be research and telling information. I think that outcome at some point would be to have a certification that this community that people can sign up for to get all these things like committing to not use part of the or convert equipment, like it's not. So that was where that came from. It's kind of trying to put it together initially so we could see what else is happening and what might match.
I guess I'm just kind of confused about how you can research all those different things. So if we're done it right. Then be able to see existing videos. Okay, but
They already are out there, so it's not.
okay. I'm sorry, I was just I was thinking about all the committees, yes.
I have a thought on the climate friendly landscape. It's a topic that we haven't gotten into at all. But it's coming to us whether we like it or not. And they're bugs, it's the emerald ash borer. They're in Hillsborough, probably 10 years they'll be here. And as I was biking down the river path this morning, and actually this whole summer, I've been looking at the river and the trees, and some areas are 90% ash. And in 10 or so years, probably, they're gonna start getting impacted, and most other places that have seen it have been like 90% plus, 99% in some places, tree mortality. So basically, some parts of the river are just gonna get decimated in terms of their tree canopy. And that's, the river is public property, so that does fit in the urban forestry one, and could reasonably fit in the landscaping committee if we need to do something with the committee. But also, there are lots of ash trees on private property, including I live in South Hills, and they're all Oregon ash, it's everywhere. And I just had this thought that it would be, it's kind of half baked, but it would be really neat for us to come up with some best practices, how you can be proactive, get some guidance, some outreach for folks to say, hey, here's what an ash tree looks like. This is how you might be it. Here's what else grows in those areas. Now would be a good time to plant a tree 10 years before that one might die. So that the tree canopy is cycling instead of having a mass mortality. It's going to be a mass mortality event, most likely. But if we get in front of it, that's just better. So we could talk with city folks, and I imagine we will. I'll raise this one when I get the chance. You know, hey, are we identifying replacement trees, places where they're putting them and putting them in the next couple of years to give these trees sort of a start before the ash forest. But I do think there's a public outreach component that we could be engaged in. And I don't know if it sits in climate friendly landscaping, like it could be sort of jammed in there. I don't want to sign us up for extra committees, but I do think that's a timely thing to be thinking about.
I would agree that that's part of that broader topic. You know, we touched on in the past issues around heritage trees that were never resolved. And this is another kind of wave that's coming about preservation of canopy on private land. The presentation kind of pieces are what the city's doing in public lands and right away. How do we encourage more climate friendly practices? So it might be a kind of, the goal maybe is, you know, community education as much as it is advising the council.
So I asked a follow-up question to Laura about that. Sorry, when you say climate friendly landscaping, is that sort of specifically focused on private property or city property?
I was mentioning and best practices, and we're sort of asked, mistake come up last year, like how can we make a broad recommendation, not just like say you do this and or whatever, it's like how can we say all the properties we should make these. Except, you know, so the example of something. But then there's a private property too. So there's a lot of things that we do, but we have had time that maybe we can't do this in large group.
I don't know whether anybody is aware of what you will.
Yeah.
At the University of Oregon, he does tree walks all the time, throughout the year. And he has really advised the city a lot about what type of trees the city needs to have planted where. And I think he would be a great resource for the city and us, to determine what's best in terms of a change in the climate, in terms of the amount of rain or lack of rain we we're getting and all that. He's agreed that he's helped someone like that.
Yeah, if the committee looks at those kinds of issues, at the very least, the committee would want to spend some time talking. Yeah, well,
And I think what Alexi pointed out about the action spirit, and I think actually just hear a radio story similar. It's that very thing, how we decided was only getting inside here, so there's more to that kind of condition. I would hope that when they stuff that we could get us. Okay, tell us what we need. We vote, we're ready to really vote now? I know Emily wants to vote. Oh, wait.
One quick thing, can I add
nothing to change.
Go ahead, Alexia.
quick thing, friendly amendment, can we strike impact of?
yeah, I would agree.
And just call it residential building, because like advancing is one thing, can we get more of it? The barriers, just it allows it to do.
I think the reason we saw that was because there was a specific call to us, how we're assessing the impact of those programs that exist, like how that data is being collected, collecting the data, how is it being communicated, is that correct?
Well, so I mean, I see where you're going, like, can it be broader than just?
Or like determine the key thing to focus on. Is the key thing the impact?
Well, I don't know, this came out of, so last year there was the committee on building decarbonization that focused on, like decarbonizing rental properties, or the challenges that are some opportunities, and the second part of that committee was gonna be looking at how is, like we called it the energy performance gap, which was kind of a technical word, and I think what that meant was like, how are we measuring whether building decarbonization, like getting a heat pump or creating weatherization, whether that's having the desired result of reducing emissions or improving energy efficiency. That still felt kind of heavy for like most of where the commissioners were at on understanding like where you would even start with answering that question. And so where Ian and I kind of went with this was maybe it could be more like, I don't know this one because it feels very like, yeah, how are policies and programs being crafted to evaluate if upgrades are having the desired impact? So I don't know, I really don't love that committee. I kind of hope this is interesting. And like mine and Ian's work pretty like much 80% of our work
That's what,
is
so
residential.
Danny and I we had two major presentations with council in July, like saying the organization, we have an enormous portfolio based on that, that like we're due. But that's kind of core to what we're gonna do for the next year, and I'm working, not against the committee, but I think for us, that we kind of have our agenda. Our work plan has been established by council really for the next year.
And 6 months of community engagement.
And
So-
so, you know, we'll support any committee that's there, but I think for us, things that aren't in line with what we're really sort of focusing on right now is probably not as helpful to staff in this moment.
Like the business of time.
What if, then I would ask the question of, in a committee on the topic, if there's a committee on the topic of the commission, what would be support? So the council hears from, different voices from staff.
I mean, at this
I'm
point,
all for supporting the work you're doing.
I mean, this one, we had our strategies and context to this. And really what we're trying to focus on now is how do we figure out how to implement those strategies? So like, we're both kind of neck-deep in kind of the policy and the program implementation of this. And so I'd have to think of it. I don't have a good answer about that right now. But like, for example, what we're trying to figure out right now is like, how do we partner with some of our community stakeholders to figure out how to stand up the program and move it forward? And I don't know what a committee would focus on that helps staff establish and build those relationships right now. If that makes sense.
Well, and like, we just did this 6-month long community engagement process. We came up with these strategies that were, felt aligned across the community. Now, we went to council, they liked it, and kind of said, go figure out how to implement it. And now we're kind of in this very muddy place of trying to figure out how to implement it. I spent a lot of time thinking how the commission could help advance it, and it just feels like we're in this pretty muddy place right now to figure out how to.
So you can give us staff reports during the
Yes,
year,
I think-
if
and
you
we're-
come up with
yeah,
some ways that the commission.
We're gonna have a
needs support.
council presentation in December. I urge you to watch it. If you haven't already watched our presentation in July, I urge you to go back and watch it. And that would be the best use of your time related to this topic, is just like go watch the presentations that we're giving.
Yeah, and I would particularly watch the July 10th one again.
The July Okay, let's
Thanks.
vote, and we can
Appreciate that.
continue the discussion.
That's helpful.
That's really it.
Can I ask?
I guess one more thing,
What the rules of voting are? I mean, are we doing so many on this side and so many?
Yes, sorry.
8 on this
8.
side and 3.
3.
And actually, one more follow-up to that building decarbonization, because one of the more specific things that relates to it is clean and reliable backup energy. That was a clear theme that emerged from our work. On building decarbonization, it was also something that I heard commissioners say when we brought this topic to you that we had not heard before. And it was you said it in a way that I don't think council was hearing. And so that was where I saw you guys could add a lot of value, was in that clean and reliable backup energy, like helping increase council's understanding that clean and reliable energy does not need to mean gas. There's other things that can provide that. And so that was where I saw you guys with that value that relates to risk.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
Good,
you.
good info, Ashley.
yes.
So Tom, you should have like 8 and 3.
Yeah, that's why I asked about the rules, because I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. That's kind of what's tricky, right?
It's the finest.
I know, it's.
It's good for everything except drinking. They're planning to put water trees with it, and I like start with a couple industrial. That's the electricity supply. But there's the other water one. These are
Oh, you're crazy. He's out of control with this thing. Wow, more than one, I know.
Yeah, that's the way they. You put all eight.
All 8 on one, I'm going all in.
You have.
Everything on red.
That'd be more effective than I did.
You know, I'm like, did I argue?
But you can't put it in.
No, they're not.
But it's a different deal. You can sink wells in the ground and run water through it and use it like it's consistent temperature heat sink. But then you still have.
No, he's like closer to the other side of Lord Walk.
Dump heat to it in the summer. and plug it out of the roof.
Upstream.
It was in the bottom.
I want to find out separation network, my battery is somebody else's. You have things. Well, we're right in the battery. Yeah. I had to find out.
You're right, I think I have.
Not really.
It's a confusing. And I don't know what is your race.
I did that.
I sound for gifts, comments, hot water.
I'm just,
I mean,
I know.
I send water. Yeah.
I'm excited about it, so I just thought, that's how much all right. That's what I did, Jan, and then I was like, I'm not.
Oh, wait, we decided to discuss it first.
Yeah, that's gonna be not a committee. I mean, a.
Gonna be periodic. Any question?
Oh, sorry, tell me, I can help them, that's about.
Yeah, I have
Yeah, I know, but this is part of, this is part of town.
Yeah, you know.
That's way too obvious.
Under the lights. Figure it out.
Everyone down with the meeting?
No, not at all.
Okay, one, take it. Yeah, did I get both?
It's okay.
Yeah. And that's.
You know, they're doing anything already with that, I don't know. Kind of fresh. Have, are you done down here? I'm checking on it, I've got something. Too close together, Dr.
Like you.
Fun. Very interesting. So much.
Getting one out, starting out this. You're not doing the one, are you? Really not. Yes, but I wouldn't go on the Illinois, we had that for, already. I lost. It's not different to any ash. You know. Yeah, I do, and I was just talking to Sperry, and I know. Give me a.
You can't want.
I had a disease that. got red, red, red,
And I
got
think
like
that's from student value.
country back.
They're
Don't you tell them it has a
value.
sea shelf.
That was going on.
Well, it's almost like a conversation.
You really have to look, sometimes they look like, you know, like lose their mind. They're actually.
Find someone.
It shouldn't be early.
Exactly.
And like, no, they're gonna be a away.
Hey, John,
The free will.
my bike's still on.
Well.
Okay, right out. The other way.
Okay. I guess-
Your bike's way nicer than my bike, so.
So I had to get that out, that was the whole reason, and then we started about that. Okay, guys.
When people are trying to Chicago stories, I hard times.
Like, yeah, he was like, you know, people I think have more about it than they
And I
realize.
would go to Chicago once a year,
There's a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
January in Chicago, and I came home and I
But
was
they're
like,
private.
you're around bike riders and you think it's easy. It's not even like in Chicago where it's really. I had no idea what winter really was. Like, it's in January, Chicago.
So I just wanted to say, I want to get appreciated my love. There's no, it's not like Portland where it's California. It's just a bunch of it's like super, and I put it and down that is not right about it.
Right.
Anything that's out there, stop.
Right, but there's some people who want to develop additional research,
Cool.
you know, and quite frankly, I haven't had the bandwidth.
Yeah.
That part of it. But I'm willing to be,
Well, jump the dog, what you wanted is not in there. One dog short.
But I think it's hard.
yeah, resiliency, how does the tide?
What you say is that.
And clean and reliable backup system.
I would love to hear it.
But I get all this.
Okay, then here they is. Maybe they do.
Weird.
They're not.
But it was pretty interesting. So, you know, half of those. I was getting,
Any rules about it, so
one.
I would love.
Yeah.
That's the thing, all.
Yeah. You know, it seems like I had a real survey.
Yeah. Everybody's like, "Hey, I think it's gonna be done." So, like, I know, I know that we were. Oh, that's, so just get rid of the two. Why did I think? That's why I don't, because I've been asking, is there anything that I ever asked? There are nothing. So we can just have a discussion. This meeting out there. They may bring you. So the results are in. The results are in. So serious. I'm just talking trees.
No, and I had the opportunity.
Some of those numbers is at 5, 6, 6. So let's start with topics for presentation. It sounds like, local applications from geothermal energy, street tree projects and the urban forestry management plan and Wayne County Resilience Hub. Got the most. Then funding for climate pollution reduction, US future electricity, changes to Eugene land use, LTE transit and sustainability at the airport. That's 7. That's 8. 8. Oh, that is 8. So technically, we had said choose 10 topics. Really, with the time that you have, there's only room for 8 presentations, but we wanted to have 2 as sort of backup. So, let's say these will be the 8. People want to kind of talk more about them. Do people feel sad about any of the